Welcome to Nintendo Engineers. I'm your host, Chris Tyson. We're here to talk about unions and Nintendo. As you know, unions are those wonderful things that have brought you things such as the 38-hour weekday. It also brought you, sick leave, paid leave, instead of, and also to all the health and safety stuff that unions have helped to introduce over the years. So you're not working, 100 hours a week in a really unsafe place, right? So, however, Nintendo, it's an interesting thing with Nintendo. I think they're a bit anti-union. I'm going to have a look at a couple of articles that talks or showcases that as an example. So, here we are. We have a look at this article here by these folks, people. A union busting complaint recently filed with the National Labor Relations Board accused Nintendo of America and contract worker agency Aston Carter of surveillance, retaliation, and other unfair labor practices. According to four sources familiar with the incident, that complaint, first filed by Access, came after a part-time employee spoke about unions at a business meeting and was later fired mid-contract. An unprecedented move. Others are now speaking up about feeling disrespected, exploited at the notorious secretive Mario Maker. So it goes on to talk about making comments and things like that. So apparently they violated the NDA and a comment on social media. Nintendo says, we are aware of the claim, which was filed with the National Labor Relations Board by a contractor who was previously terminated for disclosure of confidential information and for no other reason. And they're not aware of any attempts to unionize or related activities cooperate with investigations. Now, I think there's another article here that basically, no, not really. But the article goes on. It goes on, folks, and says, with sources tell the media, the social media post in question was extremely vague and based on disciplinary actions they had witnessed in the past would normally have warranted a warning at best. Instead, they contend the contract worker was being retaliated against for their comments in the February meeting. So, of course, Nintendo doesn't provide any comments because that's what they are. So basically, Nintendo works in a system of a two-tiered system where you have your permanent workers and you have your temporary ones that are sitting on 11-month contracts with mandatory 2-month breaks in between. They can apply for unemployment during the time, but they don't have any access to healthcare benefits and breaks between contracts and can sometimes last longer, which is um, pretty terrible. I think the American system of tying healthcare to having a job is really crazy. Here in Australia, we have something called a universal free healthcare. So, and even if you're a part-time worker or a casual, like many testers only make $16 an hour, which is nothing. Here in Australia, that would actually be illegal because I think our minimum wage is higher than 16. Um, and it just sort of goes on about Amazon and stuff like that. Going about delaying games. Let me have a look as it keeps going on. And the employee was a full-time Nintendo employee. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. So look, the whole gist of it, I think, about unions and the video game industry at large is I think that with Nintendo too, I think all these corporations are very anti-union. Like they don't want unions to exist. They would prefer you to work with the employees individual, meaning that they can get you in a room, shine the light on you, and say, "This is the contract you're going to sign. If you don't, we're going to bully you, or you won't have a job." Where with a union, you get to have a group of people that can help you get a better deal in pay, rights, health, benefits, things like that. So it's obvious that the video game industry is starting to see, and with Amazon, with unions being put together, there's going to be a big pushback by the video game industry and probably by Nintendo too, that they don't want workers and people who work there to have more rights and the ability to, make it more of an even playing field. Because when it's individual contracts and discussions and that, the employees up here and you're just down here. So that's something to think about as well. But it's a very interesting article, and I think it does um, point out that Nintendo is not this. They make great games, and some of the things they do with workers are good, but they're not perfect, and they do things um, that is sort of pretty anti consumer. So let's look at these comments here. Yeah. So yeah, interesting stuff. But yeah, heading back to my face now. Hang on, that's the wrong one. But you get what I mean. Or go back to that. It's all filmed. But yeah, I think that essentially um, that there should be unions in every single job, and there should be unions for people who work at Nintendo. But really, Nintendo should really embrace unions and things like that. But I don't think that they will, and other video game companies will be like that. So this was a little video about this sort of thing. We'll see how it goes. Let me know if you're a member of a union in the comments, and what do you think about them? I'm curious to see how that all turns out. So that's it for me. I'll see you next time.